have no experience in an industry, but still have the ability to rule it.
Right.
Then you get a whole different search result list than you would if you be like, I'm broke, how do I get money? Like that ain't gonna result in, but that's how you change the narrative. You change the narrative by learning what you don't know, and not just learning it, but being willing to implement it, even if you have no personal point of reference. A lot of things in our community, we've been taught you lead by example and you follow the leader, right? Like somebody has to prove it can be done. The facts of the matter is, if somebody was in a position to prove that it could be done, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. Y'all be duplicating what's already been proven. At this point, you have to be willing to ask the questions. You have to be willing to learn and implement the information. And you have to be willing to take on that same blind faith you take on when you about to swipe that debit card, knowing your direct deposit don't hit for a couple of days. You take that same blind faith to be unwavering and taking these steps, because if you take this step, your goal is this. Once you have a clear set goal, you now are like, it's worth the risk. Like if I lose or if it don't work out, I'm gonna just end up back here. Well, I'm already here, and it ain't going that great. But if I win, bruh, that's different. That hit different. You know what I'm saying? That that refund check hit different when it ain't no overdrafts in the account. Like you kind of have to, and that's very much so mindset. So it forces you to have to get outside of your comfort zone. Be willing to talk to that person that you don't know, that you're not familiar with, that isn't normally at the what's the names with you. And I think that part is probably the hardest to say to somebody, right? Because that means you have to. I heard this freshman year of college, and I'm gonna repeat it now. I got exposed to E.T., the hip hop preacher, I'm gonna say, freshman year of college. And so the video I came across freshman year of college was, you gotta want to breathe. You gotta want to be successful as bad as you want to breathe.
Well put.
And once you get to that place where you're tired, unfortunately for a lot of people, it takes them getting to that place where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, to be receptive of doing it differently. But I believe there's some people out there, they don't want to get to that level to make the change. Some people, they're just like, man, I just don't know what I'm doing. I just have no clue, and I don't know what to search. And so those people, what happens is you become a domino in your environment, where you learn it, and you have to be like, and you have to treat everything you learn like you're a funnel, right? One of the worst things that have ever been normalized in the Black community is this thing where they talk about, connected to faith and religion, right? Where they talk about their cup overflowing. Well, if your cup is overflowing, you're wasting, right? But if you're a funnel, it can fill, but it should never overflow, because it's always a place for it to exit and flow through, right? And if you treat yourself as a funnel, right, then it allows for you to be receptive of things and understand that everything may not be for you. Everything may not be, you may not be the target. So are you willing to let it leave you and progress to where it needs to go? Right? And so that's how we move. We move like that. Anything we learn, some things they hit and they're for us. Some things it's about making sure that we can be the funnel that connects it to where it needs to go, that it may not be able to just naturally land on its own. You throw a football, it can only go so far. But if you put that thing through a slide, boy, it can travel as long as that slide goes, And if you become intentional about that, and you start to talk and connect on that level with others, then you start to realize that, oh wow, everybody's progressing. We're not progressing the same way, but everybody's progressing. Nobody's lacking anymore. Nobody's needing anymore. Nobody's having to tough it out. Like, this situation is no longer a factor. Like, nobody has gone homeless. Nobody that went through a job loss that they now can't afford their rent or their mortgage or gas. You know, like it changes what your, in the stock market, they say when stocks are doing great, they say the it's hitting new highs and the lows are hitting higher highs and higher lows.
Right.
That means is your bottom will never actually reach as far down as it was before.
Gotcha.
So your new low might be $10,000 when your old low was -40.
Right.
And some overdraft fees. You get what I'm saying? So it's like your lows are hitting. It doesn't mean you won't go through them, but your lows hit different. Your lows are higher lows. I'm sad. I lost somebody. I'm sad. I'm sick this week. I'm sad. My vacation had to be canceled. Like versus I'm sad. I don't know how we're gonna eat. It's completely different. It's completely different. Like the way you even process that is differently.
Right.
You know, like the type of instinctive responses to that vary so drastically, but it's so powerful to witness those differences. It's like, yeah, you still entitled to your feelings, but your feelings probably gonna be fleeting. It's gonna be like, all right, it's time to plan for 2021 then. Like, it's time to see, oh, we can rent that Airbnb then. You know, like you start to, that's what happened. That's why Airbnb is thriving right now. A lot of people cancel vacations, they cancel cruises, they cancel international trips. And then it was like, oh, but we can go there for 3 weeks now and experience it like a local in a whole house, rent a house. Like once that light bulb went off, it was like, all right, we could just drive. We don't have to fly. Like road trip it. Like, and now we doing this versus that. Like you pivot even differently. You process the losses or your lows completely differently than you do when you're processing suffrage as your low. You know, and our goal is to do that. We're very, very intentional about making sure anybody we come in contact with, they're not looking for a cure.
Right.
They're ingesting the prevention. Like we're going to tell you how to avoid it. We're not going to tell you how to recover from it. Right, because that means you got to suffer through some stuff that we should not be normalizing in the first place.
Right.
You know, and that's in everything we do. Every single thing we do. We're very intentional about that. Because like I took that already. I did that for the rest of us. Like that's it. That's the last time this part of the story is going to be retold. And that's really how you start to break cycles and change the narrative completely. You're like, whatever negative thing, this is the last time that part of the story will ever be retold. Like that's not going to be the part of the story that we celebrate or rejoice about, or that we pride ourselves in connecting on. Like it's gonna be, oh yeah, man, I went through that too. Like my HR person was not hitting, or my accountant was not great. I had to, you know, he ain't mentioned this. I ain't realize this tax that, you know what I'm saying? Like the conversation moves differently and the environment changes completely. I'd rather be upset with you over a steak dinner than over some ramens, pretending that it got steak in it. You know what I'm saying? Over a wish sandwich. Like we passed that phase. Like if anything, it's a humble reminder for us these days. It's not a necessity intake. Like,
and you know, it's crazy because it's like what you basically explaining is like it's a mindset that has to be changed first and foremost. Am I right, Ramo? It's a mindset. Because I know not a lot of people like personally that are used to settling. You understand? You know, they're used to not wanting more. They're used to saying they're basically what they are. They're white supremacists, and people don't understand. You can be black and be a white supremacist. Okay, right? If I feel that this white man is better than me, I am feeding into white superiority. You understand? For real. See, black people think that only white people are white supremacists. No. A lot of us feed into white supremacy. You understand? By thinking that they can do something that I can't. You know what I mean? As simple as that. By thinking that their child is better than mine. Okay? By thinking that, you know what? I'm not going to be able to eat unless I go to his job. You know what I'm saying? And make him some money. That's white supremacy You know what I mean? So what you're saying is right. It's like, you know what? We got to stop that. Like for real. And do what you doing. You build. It's like, so the objective of your business is about building legacy. That's how I'm going to wrap that up. It's about building legacy for real, you know? Portia?
No, I just feel like what the major thing about it is, like, it's always going to be about Black community, right? It's about being able to spread that knowledge to all of us. And it's sad, not really, I guess, because we've known it to be the truth for so long, but it's still sad in a way that so many people have this knowledge and then won't pass it on to each other. Like the fact that whole funnel analogy kind of just blew my mind, because that's real. It's like, yeah, take what you need from where you need it, but that doesn't mean you keep it. Right. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a bottom. You don't have to. You can let that information flow out. And so, like, that's important to me. But my question is, so if I want to learn all that stuff, how do I do it? Where do I go to learn? How do I know to ask the questions that I don't know to ask?
Well, that's why. Okay, so we do all of this stuff. The one thing that I was very passionate about, I created a Get Your Life course, right? And so that is my baby. Like, I know I got a whole little 8-year-old out here in these streets, but that is my real baby, because it is the culmination of it's long. If it gets any longer, it's going to be a weekend event versus a course. But it's the combination of at least a starting point.
Right.
To now have a reference to know what you want to proceed with. Right. So the Get Your Life course is all encompassing. One, it lays the foundation, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to have resources along with information. So it's going to lay the foundation for you to have access to resources to utilize to now implement. Because the worst thing is, teaching a man to fish, but leaving him there with nothing to actually go in the pond with. Like, so what am I going to grab him in my mouth? So this Get Your Life course, it is I want to say it's 5 hours, but based on the last one, it's probably 6 hours. It's a 6-hour live virtual course. And we've always been virtual. It's not a coronavirus type thing, because we want to be able to meet our people wherever they are, right? You can access it through a phone, a tablet, a laptop, or if everybody can get on Instagram, Facebook, and whatever other social media, you can download this app, open up the app version of it, and attend this course. And so it's a live virtual course, and the reason why it's virtual and live, and I'm trying to be very intentional about keeping it live, is because it gives you now have a place to start your questioning. Right. We don't want you to be so caught up with, well, I don't have to follow up and have that feeling ostracized that it's like me just asking it directly. I now can be in a space where I can just kind of slide it in with everybody else's. And so it doesn't stand out one way or the other. So we do the live virtual course, and we lay pretty much a foundation for anybody to be able to build from wherever they are. And so that's my real pride and joy, because the answers to so many questions you don't even know that you don't know. And then it's the starting instructions on how to establish the resources you might need to start building on the information, right? So it starts to tell you how to develop, repair, or establish your credit, right? Because credit is the difference between an inheritance and no point of financial reference to be able to tap into, but leverage to be able to proceed. So it gives you the foundation of financial literacy, how to do your money. Right. A lot of people, they get money and it's gone. Like you've been conditioned, like YOLO. You like it's like, look, let me just appreciate this while it's here, because I'm not sure when more is coming. When in all naturality, you can make your money make you money. So you're not so financially insecure or hoping for a miracle to see a return on it, right? which is why I'm pretty sure you guys seen them, because I seen them, and people know that I'm about financial literacy. You know, all the people in those scam flowers, everybody was trying to coerce somebody into giving $500 or $4,000 or any, you know what I'm saying? And and now we having this battle between the $600 and the $2,000 stimulus. And I'm just thinking to myself, yo, if y'all would have did what I did with $600 from the first little bump, you had $2,000 right now for you not to be feeling some type of way if I don't only get a $600, you know? So it's just like little things like that. We want to make sure we can equip you with the fundamentals.
Right.
Because if you don't have a point of reference, if you was raised in a family that didn't talk about money, but your mama had bills in your name, we want you to know how you can fix or establish yourself from where you are. And then we want to let you know all of the different ways there are to skin a cat and progress to wealth, right? They say it's like 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Well, it's 1,000 ways to become financially prosperous. Like, don't let anybody coerce you into believing that there's only one way to do it. That's the big scam. Everybody trying to get their foot in one door, right? So people get trampled. Meanwhile, you know, if you actually look at the portfolios of the wealthy, like their money is not made off of a singular nothing. Like majority of Jay-Z's wealth ain't even from music. Like, you know what I'm saying? But everybody's like, oh, but he's not millionaire. Like, boo. Like less than 20% of his wealth is from the thing that you know him for.
Wow.
So understand, it's a lot of ways to skin a cat. And because they don't get discussed in our community, we assume they're out of reach. No, they're not out of reach. You just don't know what the names are. So you can now start to see how to proceed with taking advantage of them. And then once you get exposed to it, you realize, damn, like I'm late to the party. Like I'm not the first one. You realize this been a party going on way before you decided to look into invitations. And so then you find your community. And once you find your tribe, like all the momentum you need is right there to just keep it going. Because you're like, oh, I'm not alone. That they don't maximize exposure to the minimal group because that would change the narrative instantaneously.
You know what?
It's there.
Let me ask you something. Let's talk. I want you to speak up. What are the cost of these services? You know what I mean? And I want us to magnify that because because a lot of people, which we know, they quick to go out here and buy them Jordans, but they won't buy that package right here that's gonna make them, you know what I mean, make them money where they can create their own sneaker. You know what I mean? So what's the cost of these beautiful services you guys provide?
So we're very, very intentional about trying to keep them affordable. I will say we 2021 they went up in price a little bit, but the reason why they went up in price isn't even off of the money. It's off of they went up by like $25. I just want to say that, but they went up. So the cost of the life course now is $75, but the reason why the price went up is because if it's too easily affordable, people disregard the information. And our goal is not to have you sit on it. Like we don't want your money. We want you to implement. Like we are about implementation because that's what actually makes the impact. Like not you now knowing it. You implementing what you now know to progress now makes the impact. You're now one less person that needs this resource. You're now one less person that we have to worry about going through these things. One less person that may be impacted by not having options or no choice in the situation, right? So we took it up to $75 because when we had it at $50 and we were constantly running discounts to get it down to let people be able to get it for $30, we saw a number of people attend it more than once. And you know, second dates are cool, but this ain't a second date. We don't want you back. Like this is more of a, you know what I'm saying? This is your exit strategy. This is not the party. Like we do not want you back right here. So we were very intentional about being like, all right, one, we need to make it so people are quick to listen. You know what I'm saying? You add certain types of price points, so they're like, what you got that's so valuable? Like certain people will show up just to say, oh, it wasn't worth it, you know. But then other people will now their ears will be perked because they'll be like, I ain't trying to pay this twice, you know. And that's the goal. Our goal is for you to take this information, you to share this information, and not just with yourself, share with your community. We're one of the few companies, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only business owner that says treat attendance to this like a Super Bowl party. Bring the whole family over, like set it up like it's an event, so everybody's tuned in and able to grow and learn and implement the information with you, and that you now have a community of accountability to build on it with. And everybody has their ability to find the missing pieces from their puzzle that they can now implement and progress collectively with you. You know, I know 99% of people are gonna be like, oh, no, it's just for you, you know, because they want the dollar amount. But it's like, no, we want to see the shift happen. The money will come. Like, and and it's impossible that if you didn't know everything that was exposed to you, the follow-up for us to at least deep dive into it and personalize it and implement and strategize with you is going to have you come back for consults. But we don't want you back for the course twice. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is more of a lightning thing. Lightning should not strike the same place twice.